Welcome to Grit and Gravitas with Anne and Annie, bringing you savvy, spirited stories of success. We're excited to deliver 30 minutes of inspiration, impact, and goodness. We'll be bringing you guests and friends from around the country who have very special work and personal journeys. I'm Anne Deeter Gallaher, your co-host with Anne Carnathan, and this is Grit and Gravitas. Let's go! Anne Carnathan, we are back in the studio.
Better than ever.
We always do these on Fridays. I think that's in our DGG world, it's Home Run Friday.
Our world headquarters in Camp Hill, Pennsylvania.
Yes.
So we're in the Northeast, duh. But I could do without 32 degrees at the end of April. I'm just going to be perfectly honest.
I just came in from Nashville last night, so it was only a tinge warmer. They were having a little bit of a cold snap as well.
So we want to thank, speaking of Nashville, the uber talented Ben Gallaher for our
son
custom
number 3
soundtrack.
Yes.
Your baby.
Yes. So we're appreciative of that. And today is we are taping episode 13. That is super exciting. Well, I say 13 with all the passion of a positive number 13.
Lucky 13. Let's not go unlucky, right? So most podcasts, 80% plus of podcasts, and they don't make it to 10.
Okay. Well, we never thought we were the norm.
No. And so far,
we're
that's
not lacking in
very
self-confidence for
we
this
need
show.
people to talk to us.
Yes.
This is solely done with you and I with the intent of helping women in business.
Right.
And to better serve our tribe and our audience and the men in it, for sure. How can we help you? What can we do?
We like to say shorten your learning curve. You and I combined 60 years in business, maybe longer. And there are things we will talk about, guests we have on, experiences we share that will shorten the learning curves of young men and women who are listening. And we hope that can change their trajectory.
And we have to be brave. We have to be courageous. We have to be confident to be able to be authentic and vulnerable. So 2 women are going to sit here and share with you, warts and all, what it means to be us and what it means to be moms and wives and leaders and how difficult that is to thine own self be true. It's not easy. And day in and day out, we're challenged, but we want to do that for you if you're listening.
So for episode 13 is a little bit of a segue. We like to think that each episode stands on its own, and it does. Episode 12 was about honesty and finding your voice and sharing your honest opinions, whether that's in the workplace, in your volunteer efforts, and maybe even more especially at home. So episode 13, we're going to talk about something that we can both relate to, and we bring a little bit different perspective, is families in business. So by that, I mean,
zing!
This umbrella, we'll talk a little bit about family members I have hired and are in my employ. Could be family members that you're hiring their services as vendors. You came in as an executive in a family-founded business. And so you have an entirely different set of dynamics at Universal than I do at Deeter Gallaher Group. But I've had several family members employed. So we'll talk about, some of the realities of that. What are the pluses and minuses and how that has worked for us? Sound good?
It does. It sounds like a whoosh. Where do I begin? And I think, I came in as someone who, I knew them, right? On the broadcast side, I had worked with Universal, and more importantly, I really admired them. And when I looked out and thought, who would I like to move to and maybe sell for, it was just that. It was like, could I do this? So never in a million years, and I've said this, would I have ever thought I would be sitting here as the president and the CEO of this company. And really the sense was, again, midway through my career, I just bet on myself. And basically sold, the owners on coming there. And I got the bare minimum, 2/3 decrease in salary just to try it, just to be able to say, I'm going to pay you back this in a draw, and then let's go to the go-go days. And so that's really that beginning family. So they had the ability to go, sure, right? We know you, we respect you. Then you get there. From corporate America
Yes.
to independent, and really this juggernaut that by design no one knew about.
Yeah, I know that.
Right. And so my personal board of directors at that point go, wait a minute, you're going to do what? You're going to go where? Okay, honey, I've never heard of that, right? Yeah.
So in our situation, in the early days of Deeter Gallaher Group, I hired my oldest son right out of Penn State, Joshua, who has since offloaded himself, which was a great thing and a good step for him.
Into a very successful business.
Yes. And I would say he was successful sooner because of what he learned here at Deeter Gallaher Group and the branding and the marketing. He came to me with a marketing degree from Penn State. It was an easy fit. I knew that this was not a long-term thing, but it was good for me and it was good for him to start.
Mr. Right now instead of Mr.
Yes.
Right.
And there are benefits. And I have hired my nephew, and now that I say this out loud, I'm probably an incubator. That's what I am.
Your little chick eggs that hatch.
Yeah, business incubator. Hired my nephew, who was phenomenal, and he went on to continue his own business that he had started in college. Very, very successful. And I currently have in my employ my daughter-in-law. So that's a little twist of a dynamic. But let me first talk about the extraordinary advantages of that, in my opinion. For me, first and foremost, was a trust factor. If you're hiring family, there's nobody on the face of the earth that you should trust more with your intellectual property, with your brand, with your reputation. These are people, when you say you bet on yourself, I absolutely bet on myself, but these are people that I knew would bet on me. They have my last name, or they're related to me somehow. Now, that being said, I would never hire them if they weren't qualified. It's regardless what your last name is. If you aren't qualified to do the job, say no to that hiring. They were qualified, so they came to me with a set of skills. And interestingly, my daughter-in-law, who is absolutely fabulous, and I don't say that because she's my daughter-in-law, I hired her on a freelance basis first, right out of college. She had a PR degree. So in the back of my mind, I'm saying, wow, this really is a no-brainer. But you are investing yourself as the business owner into all your employees, and you take responsibility for their livelihoods. And coming through a year that we just had, that is a tall order. I take that very seriously, as I know you do with your entire team. When it's family, it's an even taller order. But first and foremost is they came to me with extraordinary skills that I knew would add benefit to Deeter Gallaher Group. So that hiring decision was fairly easy, but the trust factor and the loyalty were game-changing. I mean, I need a team that I can trust with my honest opinions, who knew the insides of the business. When we talk about intellectual property, the business processes, the way you reach out, the way you close deals, Annie, people in that inner circle, that's a lot of information. You have to trust those people.
And so essentially, she started out as virtually an intern. Mm-hmm. So freelance as an intern. Mm-hmm. And when I got to Universal, especially where I saw media headed in the information age, was we need their fresh eyes. We need their ability to
think differently.
Exactly. And so that was really us kicking the tires the way you did making your daughter-in-law a freelancer. Really same thing. And as I'm hearing this, which is the charm and the gravitas of what you and I talk about, is I've never heard this before. So you're getting my ability to chime in because family, period, family increases the complexity of someone exponentially.
Yes.
Because now you're not just risking your daughter-in-law, you're risking your son. Mm-hmm. You're risking her parents. You're risking so much more for business that could easily be through someone else. Now, I'm not dismissing that.
Right.
And, for me at Universal, when there's two families and I'm 100% about the work and the expertise, But guess what? I don't get to live in a vacuum. That's like saying to someone, I love this about you, but that not so much. I'd love you more if you weren't that way. No, I'm all in, warts and all. I want someone to love me that way in a genuine way. And so you begin to learn quickly that honestly, Anne, and this is why it's so staggering with you, is that 100% to this day, the owners would tell you they trust their family. And it's this constant balancing act to the expertise and to me doing the work.
Right.
I don't care who they are. And I just know we're at risk or we're not at risk. They have to be good enough to work at Universal Media. And so, but Annie, we have to balance that. And are partners honestly going to look as objectively at their family, growing a career and doing the work? No, they're human beings. There's people I would do anything for, and then there's my son.
Right.
There's my husband. There's my in-laws and my family. That takes it next level. And until or unless I was going to understand that, acknowledge that, but that is the key, if I had to speak for the owners, is 100% the trust they have in their family. And there's one thing I'm never, ever going to be, is their family. And so have I grown to that trust? Right?
I think absolutely you have, but your ability to see things differently in that dynamic is why you're bursting out in growth. You bring that set of, I understand the family, you understand the family dynamic that you walked into. You've maneuvered through it. You see the goods and the not so goods in that dynamic, and you bring this fresh set of eyes that I think you've now received their trust.
But I always believe, talk about intent, that I'm doing it for the right reasons, and I'm going to take care. And now I do understand. I don't know how anyone could understand. Again, people still say, well, how's it different than corporate America? Oh my gosh, let me tell you the ways.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is I'm still not next level family. And it's my job to say, here's essential, here's this, here's that. These individuals, right? It's up to you how they continue forward.
Right.
Right. And so again, it's always about a paper cut. It's never about a fatal injury that costs us business. And so I think it sounds like a fine line, not so much, but I'm never going to be next level. And I would submit to you now in my 11th year, that's crucial, that balancing. Yeah. And when you look at that, if there's a family outing, if there's a holiday, they come in the next day and things aren't like, you can feel it. You can feel the tension, right? So something happened.
Right.
I don't know. And with peace and love, respect, I don't care. I'm not taking sides. I'm not like, and I think that dynamic, and I say this, now, it changes the dynamics of pass the potatoes, please. I don't necessarily want to hear someone came, they left early, they insulted us. There's this, right? Because those are family.
Right.
And they're always going to happen. And no one is going to leave that at the door.
Right.
Not when you're passing someone in the hall, not when you're ticked off, not when your feelings were hurt, because again, all that is next level.
Yeah. And
it's a dynamic that is just as difficult to navigate as the business itself.
So fun. So two of the sons have worked directly, one directly, Joshua the oldest, and Benjamin, because he's married to Monica, is indirectly. He hears all this. And for years, we have supported him with PR and branding from the early days of his music career. But it's funny, when we were just in Nashville, last Friday night, we're all in the car going somewhere, and it was like 5 o'clock, and Benj said something about social media. I said, I said, 5 o'clock, Deeter Gallaher group is off. And his head snapped around like, no, you're never off. And I just started laughing because I was saying that tongue in cheek, but I did mean it. I said, I'm not talking social media right now. It's 5 o'clock. We're in Nashville. We're, here as half of our family. We're going to go, have a great night. And my oldest son, Joshua, would always challenge me. Talk about honest. Being my son did not prevent him from being honest at all. And I think was surprising or maybe a positive for my other employee, Marissa, to see, she's like you, she's seeing this dynamic in the early days of starting out. I mean, he knew he was my son regardless of whatever happened. So he was going to tell me, the truth of there was a better way to do something. But he would often say, Mom, cut it off. It's 6:00. You have to close up shop and close it down and put on your mom hat. And so that was always a good, honest, in the early days, you're so passionate, you're building a business. It's 24/7. It consumes you. And he was like my voice constantly reminding, don't let it consume you. Like this is, and here's my caution to anyone who has hired family, working with family, building your business, with your family. At the end of the day, business comes and goes. Clients come and go. Media comes and goes. Your family's there forever. So don't make any decision that would ruin that relationship, because that family is priceless. And if we've learned nothing from the COVID year, we have learned, our small orbit is what carried us through. Those are the people. So don't let a paycheck get in the way of that. Don't let mistakes get in the way of that in the business environment. Preserve that relationship at all costs.
There are enough epic breaks within families. There are so many, aspects of disagreement that become irreparable for whatever reason. And, to me, in the absence of any matriarch, this is not going to continue. We're going to resolve this. We're all going to come back together. It will not be. And the bottom line of families is that there is a 24/7 aspect to me, because again, it is what I do, but it's who I am. And again, the blessing and the curse, if I didn't care as much as I did,
I know
it's not my company.
Right.
But it might as well be for how I feel about it.
Sure.
And my husband is in the same business, does what I do, and it's just relentless. Right. And it becomes very, very difficult to delineate.
Yeah.
And
does Walker say time out, you guys?
He just sort of disappears. Just, because look, it's, I'm intense. My husband's intense. And so there's just that level of next level.
Yeah.
And, would I want that to be different? Well, there's a huge expertise and currency to that. And so it's a constant.
Do you know how to be different? That's a challenge. I don't know, because I love what we do. There's no 5:00 switch in me.
Well, there can't be with your partners either. And now, with retailers across the country, including in Los Angeles, look, the 3-hour time frame doesn't matter to them. And the point is, if we don't want to be working at 9 at night, working at midnight, and social media, there can be something wrong that runs on the weekend. I mean, if I say our digital people are MDs, right? They're on call on the weekend.
That's a good one.
Because no one cares about our life. Right. They care that they're not running copy that should have ended a week ago. Yep. It doesn't matter whose fault it is.
Right.
And part of building out that internal part of our digital capability, a great expense to us. And they give the owners a tremendous amount of credit. I mean, they're like, what? We're going to do what? Yeah. Here's how we have to be 100% self-sufficient to be able to change things on a dime. And we can only do that if we have an internal trading desk, and we have to have people that care that much. And I'm now so out of the weeds, right, with the family. But that's why it's so critical. Because no one gets to say, well, my nephew, we were at a holiday party and we were doing this and a birthday party. No one cares. They don't care. And if we can't do this, we can't accept this assignment. And so there's so many different parts to growing, because then you have to, manage it. And nothing pleases me more than someone saying, you are who we thought you were.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? That means, from Annie, your sales hat, here's how good we are. Here's how expert we are.
Yeah.
Okay, you brought it. Mm-hmm. And that's why I relentlessly drive our execution, our standards.
Yeah.
Because One person signed that check. Here's what you can expect, but they have to cash it. Yeah. And I think that's equally important. And so part of what I couldn't do is say, hey, family, how come you don't see this the way I see it? Well, here's the answer. No one did.
Yeah, right.
Looking back.
But regardless of your last name, those standards have to be met.
And if they aren't,
you don't get a pass.
That's right. You have to find someone that you're more comfortable with. And I'm 100% fine with that. I'm an acquired taste, right? And I learn, when to back on and back off, because you do understand what it means for the family to have built such an incredible business. I did not do that.
Yeah.
I did not build this. I mean, we're talking about 33-year overnight success story, right? Because what now, DGG and everyone's helping us sort of go, here they are, and they're fabulous.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
By design. And so I think there was a little bit of a part of me going, oh, well, that's your problem. No, they're people. There's an aspect to that. And it's a huge, again, very complex one, but I get it and had to get it, had to grow into that of enormous discomfort for me. And that's where corporate is just sort of off with the head, right? Which I hated.
Yeah.
This, right, on the other hand, way more complex, a lot more energy. Like, I want that dividing line.
Yeah.
I don't want to be at the birthday party. I can't. And then
that's a healthy decision for you.
But you have each owner, right, feeling like they're slighted somehow. And so it was just like, you talked about them and not enough about me, and you hurt my feelings. I'm like, what? I don't, what? So that what? Self-awareness. Mm-hmm. And so I do think the risk of a family member doing the work is exceptionally different than being cleaner with someone who starts or isn't who you thought they were and is not good enough to do the work. Mm-hmm. And you're exceptional. I'm going to help you move on, but you can't work here. And that's always, right, the least fun conversation. Yeah. And now I don't have that, right? My department heads have that.
Yeah.
I manage the department head. So there's just been this process and this structure that have grown on. It's still family owned. It's still family controlled. I just understand it more. And I know sort of when to put my foot on the gas, when to let up. And I'm a steward.
Good.
I'm now trying to get this company to be here in 5 years or 10 years for however it, the succession of it, and all these people that are next. Mm-hmm. Family or not family, it's not going to be my decision.
So we have 1 million small businesses in Pennsylvania, maybe fewer that from last year. But many of them are started or the first hires are family members. So that's a great ecosystem to start in. The skills of the individuals. You know what they need. Now you were able to take Universal. The family took it to the first 30 years or 20, till you came in.
Right, right.
But they knew that we need someone else to take the next leap, to go next level.
And they get all the credit for that.
But often the person with the skills that takes it to scale is not the person who founded the business, because we're so in the trench. I mean, we're almost handicapped by our original vision. So you need people, and it could be family that comes in from the outside or an in-law who just brings that fresh perspective and says, you're going to move over here. This was a fabulous foundation. We're going to take it to the next level.
It all comes back to influence, too. Mm-hmm. So these birthday parties and family gatherings and holidays all become the ear of the owners.
Yeah.
And you and I both know leaders are what it means to someone's own agenda.
Yeah.
And every single employee person has them.
Yeah.
And they may or may not be for the greater good, but there's almost no one who isn't able to delineate that. I mean, someone says, oh, this is my agenda. It's probably not the best thing for Universal. Nobody has that objectivity. Mm-hmm. We're emotional. We take, the entirety of our lives and pack them in bags. We just hope, like, if we put one on our back, two in our hands, we're like pack mules taking our life with us. A lot of baggage. And so no one is going to sit there and say, well, I'm the family and I'm this and I'm that, but man, Annie, she's she's tough. She's doing things I'm uncomfortable with, but she's great. No one did that.
Yeah.
And so I constantly felt like I had to keep coming back and recalibrating the persuasion. And some days it was like, I need more time out there persuading and a whole lot less time in here. But oh, by the way, I'm not going to influence out there if I don't. And it just became a deluge of energy and effort and really in the past year, which has been extraordinarily difficult for me. The 14 months, stressful, anxiety. I mean, my body, feasts on cortisol and adrenaline every day, and it's not supposed to be that way. That's a fight or flight. Like, it's not good stuff. But, I recognize that. And look, again, that's on me. I have to manage this. And so I've just become very much more aware of people's agenda. And look, I'm gonna go so far, and then I'm gonna back up, right? And I'm not gonna be able to impact that because something has to give.
But huge shout out to you for surveying the situation, knowing. You probably didn't know the depth of dynamics, but you could hypothesize what you're coming into when something's founded for that long. There is an expectation. There are agendas on all parties for, immediate family, extended family. And you were able to withstand that and come in and really feel purpose-driven that you can make an impact for the better on not only on the company and the brand and the revenue and the profit, but on the people's lives. And you've brought in new lines of business, which is huge. So I know that you have to have a tough outer shell to lead like that in amongst all the positioning and the players in that.
There's a price to pay for that. I mean, I think my shell's a rhinoceros. I don't think that's always a good thing. And I sincerely believe that at the point to which I would have guessed how difficult it is, I really had no idea because I cared about coming there to try to succeed.
Yeah.
Could I do something on a national level? And it was sort of my incubator for 2 years. And I recommend everybody stay in a job 2 years. I'm not great with job jumpers on resumes.
Right,
I'm not.
Agree.
There's a loyalty and a commitment. Again, no matter where they go, it's going to be work.
Yeah.
And so when I look at someone like, okay, who's making the poor decision? You're just jumping job to job. And I know that's, but look, whatever we're looking for. And so if someone had said to me, it's this complex, but I don't also think the family knew it would be that complex. You can't know what you don't know. And so I would say it was a culture shock for both of us. And I was never sat down and talked about this. This is why we have the show. but I do think in retrospect, it's that thing where the enormity is like, how did you do that? Oh, I don't know. I can't imagine doing it now.
Yeah.
But I think that's where I'm fearless.
Good.
That's where I'm so risk-oriented because it pushes me out of my comfort zone daily. And I like that. I like that about this. I had a home. I had a family. And I'd never felt that.
I think the pandemic has, one of the positives, has caused a lot of people to say yes to opportunities they might not have considered beforehand.
100%.
So it's interesting, you looking back, we're like, oh my word, what did I get into? I don't know how I did that. I don't know how we got here. But you did it, and you were more than capable to lead through that. And, shout out to Don for choosing you and making sure that you were the right person for the job. And it's a rough dynamic for the entire family, no doubt.
As uncomfortable for him, and I'm now speaking for him, which, Don, you don't need to do that ever. A huge alpha male, but this is a guy that had every single person in his family, even people that didn't work there, chiming in influence about me.
Yeah.
And we all know there's nothing worse. It's as fake as social media, right? Like, here's who I want you to think I am, but that's not who I am at all. And the frustration of that would be hearing him talk to me, realizing there's no way on earth this couldn't have come to him from there. I mean, I'm a good, smart girl, right? And I'm EQ off the charts, and I'm people. So I knew exactly who told him that. I knew exactly what the agenda was, but you can't get defensive. You just talk through it. And look, ultimately you have to decide, here's where I think we're at risk.
Right.
I'm like, when did I become an attorney? All balanced, right? So we're already at the end of the show. What's our business vitamin, Anne?
I think I'm going to give my 2 cents. When you have family working with you or for you or alongside you, have a very short memory. Do not carry work challenges or hurts or conversations you overheard out into the family realm. It's not positive. It's not helpful. It doesn't matter if you were right or wrong. My advice would be to have a very short memory. Hire family by all means if you trust them, and it was my biggest business advantage. It still is, and support them. But at the end of the day, leave the work at the workplace. Family's priceless. It's really our biggest investment.
100%. And the family breaks organically are heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And at some point it becomes the norm. And you're not able or willing to go back and fix it.
Yeah.
And it's epically sad. And to me, business escalates that. But I couldn't agree more. And again, I'm communication overly communicate. But if two people don't want that to be resolved, it won't be. And so that's easier said than done. And to me, I think it comes back to the work and make sure every day it's being judged against that.
Right.
And could this be fatal because we just have the wrong person there or someone who isn't quite good enough? Right.
So wrapping up episode 13, that just flew by.
Always does.
Family for the win. Both of us have a lot of experiences, but at the end of the day, family for the win. Have a high gear day, Anne Carnathan.
Same to you, Anne Gallaher. Have a great weekend.
Thanks for listening. It's our desire that these stories will bring energy, ideas, and fresh thinking that you can use today. Subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Instagram, and have a high gear day.